Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to Tom Clark's Comedy 20 Minutes. So, first off, I put my trust into things, not people, because if I put my trust into people, God would say, "You're being an ignorant little prick." So, first off, I'll start out, right? A little bit with the ant jokes. So, there's a lot of use of the word ant in the English language. I wonder why. Do we love them? Do we hate them? Like the word ignorant. Are you ignoring the ants? Assurance. What are you doing to those ants? And anticipate an ant pacing back and forth. And then car jokes. You hear about the guy who shoved the roulette wheel while gambling. It was a Chevrolet. And you hear about the guy who was toting a bunch of toys. It was a Toyota. And you hear about the car that got in an accident and it was all caught on cam and it shot like an arrow. It was a Camaro. You hear about the guy who was a Vietnam Marine Corps vet. It was a Corvette. And did you hear about the car that got in a rolling over accident? It was a Corolla. A Toyota Corolla. And so did you hear about the the horse who had a little bug floating around his eye, annoying him and bothering him? What was it? A horse and buggy. And what do you call a horse with large bulging eyes? A seahorse. And did you hear what the old oak tree said to the pine tree? He said, "What's happening?" Those are my 3 best jokes. I got some more to come. You hear about the guy who was too late applying a stim pack to a cow? It was overstimulated. And you hear about the dog who went into a bank? He made a deposit. And so you hear about the guy who got caught with some marijuana? He was caught with pot. And so my friend, a buddy of mine, became a correctional officer. I said, if I was gay, would I be off a sir? You know, right? Like, not quite a sir. And so did you hear about the pizza that had a mind? It was a piece of mind. And you hear about the thing that was a little bit of a cruddy, a piece of crud? It was a pizza crud. It was a pizza. The pizza crud. And So my wife, she fell asleep while doing the dishes. She was sleeping with the dishes, not the fishes. And did Noah build a boat? Noah Ark. And did you hear about the girl named Mia, who people were asking her when they had their mouth filled with food if she could run a mile? They said, Cammy mile. And you hear about the brain that got splattered all over the floor of the place? It was B-Rain. And did you hear about the country that went through baggage claim and took a stand? It was Pakistan. And what country cannot stay in one place? Iran. And why do mussels be so intelligent? Because of muscle memory. And why does having a good memory make you so much money? Because of memory banks. And did you hear about the farmer? What do they do? How do they do it? What do they do when they're really lazy, but they're tilling the soil and planting crops and plants and things like that grow and come out of the ground? They tilly-tally, like dilly-dally, only not. It's not that. It's tilly-tally. And so this guy, he got pancreatic cancer, but he could still create everything in a pan while cooking. When he was cooking, you know it. Yes, right? He said, pancreatic? Yes, I can, sir. And you hear about the guy who pat his guinea pig while wearing an American flag windbreaker? It's like this one right here. He was very patriotic. And, so, this guy, what did the color violet say when it was done doing something? When it finished, it said, voila. And what did the pesto sauce, noodles or sauce, what have you, what it is, say when it was done? Presto. And you hear about the guy who stole a pen? He depend. And did you hear about I think it's rude. I find it rather cruel, horrible, awful, and cruel that we have words like blatant, because it's telling an ant to be late. Be late, ant. I'll still call an ant if I see it in the wrong place, find it in the wrong place, of course. But of course, yes, of course. A horse, of course, who speaks in Morse and eats his boars before he goes to court. I sound like Goofy. Yes. So, what did the bison say to his son when he left? Bye, son. And what did the tree say who had a son? He committed treason. He said treason. And you may have heard of the warlock, but what about the wart lock, the big old mangy hairy wart. And, oh no, that's a mole. Warts don't get hairy, moles do. And did you hear about the, the, clam that had a destiny? It was clandestine. Yes, it was. It was. And, so there's this dude. One time he woke up and he's feeling a bit weary, still tired. It was arbitrary. Did you hear about the thing that wasn't a concurrence or an insurgence? It was an incursion of the guy who was cursing inside of the house or the place of business, the residence, the place where he may or may not dwell. Yes, he was cursing inside. It was an incursion. And, so did you hear about the guy who killed someone by hitting him in the head with a hammer? He committed it with malice. And, did you hear about the guy who had some fun with some silly putty? It was a goo time. And did you hear about the guy who got a kidney stone from eating a peach cobbler? It was a cobblestone. That's another one of my good ones. That's a good one. And this one's pretty good. That one was upper. Now this one, here we go. This one is a downer. You hear about everybody catching diseases from chickens? It was pollo. That's Spanish for chicken. And it sounds vaguely familiar, bears a resemblance it has to polio, which has been almost completely cut out and eliminated. You got a polio vaccine now. But I don't know. I don't know everything. You know, right? You get me. You get it. You get me. So, did you hear about the ant who was awfully eerie? He was an irritant. And did you hear about the thing that was a little and it was a ligand? And you hear about the O-face that got eaten? It was an ovation. Excuse me, bless me. Right, you get it, you've heard, you've learned, you've realized, yes, here we go. Here it is, here I am, there you are, here we go. And did you hear about the toe ring that could pull a freaking U-Haul? It was a towing. And I got two more, last two. I'm hitting you with them. Up in the air. Here we go. Coming down. You hear about the guy's son who was on a dock? It was a dachshund. And did you hear about the Lou Dobbs, who was a man? It was a Doberman.